दत दान। जे को पावे दिल का मान। सुने मने सुने मने मन कीता अंतर्गत तीरथ मलना। अंतर्गत तीरथ मलना। तीरथ ताप दया दत दान। जे को पावे तिल का मान। सब गुण तेरे में नाही कोई। सब गुण तेरे में नाही कोई। बिन गुण के भगत ना होए। बिन गुण के भगत ना होए। तीरथ तप दया दत दान। जे को पावे तिल का मान। स्वास्थ्य आत वाणी बरवाओ। स्वास्थ्य आत वाणी बरवाओ। सत सुहान सदा मन जाओ। सत सुहान सदा मन जाओ। कावन सवेला वक्त कावन। कावन सवेला वक्त कावन। कावन थित कावन हार। कावन से रोती हुआ जित हुआ आकार। कावड़ से रोते महाकावड़ जित हुआ आकार। तीरथ तप दया दत दान। जे को पावे तिल का मान। तीरथ ताप दया दत दान। मिल न पाया पंडिती। वेल न पाया पंडिती। जे होवे लेख पुराण। वक्त न पायो का दिया जे लिखण लेख पुराण। थित वार ना जोगी जाने। थित वार ना जोगी जाने। रुत महाना कोई। जाकर दासिर ठेको साजे आप जाने सोई। जाकर दासिर ठेको साजे आप जाने सोई। तीरथ तप दया दत दान। जे को पावे तिल का मान। तीरथ तप दया दत दान। कर आखा केव सलाही केव कर आखा केव सलाही क्यों वरणी क्यों जाना नानक आखण सबको आखे नानक आखण सबको आखे एक दो एक सियाणा एक दो एक सियाणा वड्डा साहिब वड्डी नाई कीता जागा होवे वड्डा साहिब वड्डी नाई कीता जागा होवे नानक जे को आपो जाने अगे गया ना सो है नानक जे को आपो जाने अगे गया ना सो है तीरथ तप दया दतदान जे को पावे दिल का मान तीरथ तप दया दतदान। In our last sitting, we talked about the tradition of trying to cleanse one's self by going to the various holy places, visiting them, taking a bath, dipping the body into some perceived holy water. And Gurbani concluded, भरिए मत पापा के संग ओ धोपे नावे के रंग. It pointed out that by washing your body, you are only cleaning the outer dirt. If the mind gets dirty, then without the meditation, without the Simran, without the Naam Japana, you can't cleanse that. And the same argument is carried forward and say, alright, let's assume for a minute. Let's give you the argument that you want to go because this is a tradition and you have been visiting the holy places and so-called holy waters and you've been dipping your body in there and you've been doing all those karma. So let's assume you do want to do that and you continue. So now Gurbani says, okay, what happens when somebody comes back? You visit a holy place and you declare to the rest of the world that you have just returned from a Haridwar, or you have just returned from a Kumbh Mela, or you still returned from a Makkah, a Medina. What happens? And there you can also claim that you did lots and lots of dan and you pious holy actions and you gave the money and you did all these kriya karam. What is the end result? He says, look around you. What happens? So the next stanza builds on that thought, and so the first thing I, as usual, want to point out, look at the link. How it is a continued, like a necklace, and there are various beads and each bead is resting on the other. It's not disconnected, it's not haphazard. So the very first thought is then taken forward and said, Tirath tap daya dat dan. Tirs means the holy place. Tap means to go there and do the tapascharya as given by the creator or designator of that holy place. Dat means to give, dena, ditta hoya. Dan means the charity. Tirat tap daya dat dan. So you do all of that. You go visit to the holy place and you give a charity over there, and you also perform all the rituals that were designated. So then what happens? And next line gives the conclusion. Says, Jeko pava tilkaman. See what happens? Say, it's a very short-lived fame that you get from the world. Tilkaman. If you get anything, Jeko pave. If you get anything out of it, what is it? Say tilkaman. You know til? The sesame seed? You know, the smallest seed known. Say, it is the value of your visit is what? Well, you come, people say, well, very great. Yeah, he's very, he just returned from a holy place. It's great. And the next day, that's the hour is gone. What do you get out of it? Jeko pave tilkaman. Even if you go through all of this and you spend months and years of traveling around the holy places, what have you achieved? Because it certainly is not designated by the Creator Almighty saying that this place is holier than that place. Some human being did that. Some human being said that. And you took it as a gospel. What is a holy place in the human mind? Any spot where once upon a time somebody meditated and achieved something. Isn't that? What is the definition of holy place? On this spot, Buddha sat and he achieved enlightenment. That tree has become holy. So, any spot, and then they will create a little, that hut will be removed and a mandir will be created, a building will be created, and that becomes a holy spot. So the definition of holy spot is that at this place, once at a time, a spiritual energy manifested. But the question is that energy still there? The reality is that energy left the spot in its full intensity with that individual as it left. It leaves behind some fragrance, just like as you wear the fragrance. That was one of the Rajneesh's problem, that the people used to come to his place wearing the fragrance and he was allergic. And so the people will complain, well, you are allergic, that's okay, the person is gone. And he will say he has left the fragrance behind. Fragrance lingers on for a while. And you have noticed this, any person who wears the fragrance a little longer, if he is walking by, is gone, you are still with it. Now that's just a physical example of a spiritual fragrance does remain there for a while. After a while, that also goes away. But we keep on worshipping that spot. We keep on visiting that spot. Okay, so now that slowly it becomes a tradition, and traditions are very hard to break. The old habits are very hard to break. I remember my industrial psychology professor, he was describing habit. So on a blackboard he wrote HABIT, habit, and then he put the word behind it, remains. So he asked one student, let us say that somebody puts in a lot of effort and 20% improvement. Is that good improvement? So everybody said yes. So he removed the H, the 5 letters, so H is dropped. So now it reads, a bit remains. He said, alright, let's push him a little bit more, and now he is 40% So now he drops the A. So sentence reads, bit remains. He said, we're going to push the guy even further. He's going to be 60% improved. He drops the B and says, it remains. And he says, I'm going to push him even further, and I'm going to drop the la. So I removes, only T remains. He says, you know when the person is in a T? When it's 6 feet under the ground. He's alone. One letter. See, even 80% improvement is not sufficient because a habit remains. Unless until you are in a spiritual revolution, the old habit will be very difficult to get rid of. It will come back in one form or the other. And that's what Guruvani is pointing out today. He says, that's okay that you want to go and you want to continue on that thought process, but look what the end result is. Tirath, tap, daya, dakdan, jeko, pave, tilka, man. If at all you get anything, it is a short-lived fraction of a moment's worth of fame and recognition only by this world residents, not from that world. Because that world never ever asks you to do this. This world asks you to do that. And hence you get the recognition from this world. But if you want to get to the recognition from the other dimension, then the process has to be slightly different. And what is that process? He goes on, Gurubani points out and says, Sune, Mane, Manakita Bhao, Antargat Tirath Malanao. If you have not understood that there is a holy place inside, and you are not dipping your mind-body system into that water, how will you do that? It points out to the, right, mindful listening, sunaya, that's sunna, the 4 stanza that we talked about. Next stage was manana. Manayam does not mean that whatever I'm saying you're agreeing with it. That's not manayam. He says if you go on the journey of sunna, manana, when there is no man, what is the indication of that? He says manakita bhav. That's when you really have taken it inside, when there is no mind anymore. And when there is no mind anymore, what happens? He says antargat. Your inside tirath, holy place. That holy spot inside your being would be washed away as if something has been. Yeah. Let him do his little thing and you stay with what we are doing. Okay, just see that this is the perfect test. How much concentration we can have with the distraction in front of us. Okay. Now, if the mind plays with it, then you are gone. If the body works in controlling the kid, but the mind stays here, you are practicing the real meditation. But if you start playing with the kid as the kid is playing, you are gone. Here is a perfect example. When the thought comes, if you go along with the thought, you are thrown back. If the body recognizes the thought and doesn't pay attention to it, the thought is doing whatever the thought wants to do. But you stay with your consciousness with the word that you are repeating. If your concentration remains on that, so soon enough thought will go away. And the same thing is going to happen to the child. More you're going to stop him, more he's going to fight back. Right? You try to remember him, he's going to come back because he knows that you're stopping him from there.
Yeah, he wants to hold the microphone.
Okay. So, either remove that attraction or remove the child from that, right? There's only 2 ways. Anyway, let's get back. Antargat. The inner tirath, the inner holy place, Antargat, Tirath Malanao. Mal means to grind it out. So all of the impurities from the inner will go away provided you have started on the inner journey, which is sunaya manya. The third will be automatic, man ki tabha. If sunna, you have understood the mindful listening from Gurbani, which was the first stage. The second stage was manya, and we from 11 to 15 of those we went through that. It's pointing out to us, if you go on the inner journey, then manakita bhav, that means mind has now really internalized what was the message. The message that you took was, okay, go outside on a journey. That was never the message of any spiritually evolved soul. Has never happened. Not a single soul evolved soul has asked any one of the individuals to get lost into the Kriya, get lost into the ritualism. Every ritual pointed out by anyone actually had an internal meaning. And it was given when that ritual was given. This is what it is supposed to be. And as the time passed by, only the outer ritual remained and the meaning got lost. And now these are just movements. So Gurbani says, come back to that. Antargat tirath malanao. So if you get to that journey and no mind state is achieved, understand that that is not possible to achieve if the very first condition is not met. What is that first condition is indicated in the next line. It says, Sab gun tere main nahi koe. This is translated traditionally as if we are saying to the God that you have all the positive and I have nothing. All the goodness belongs to you, nothing belongs to me. That's the literal translation. Sab gun tere main nahi koe. Mere kol kuch nahi hai, sara tera hi hai. That's not what it is saying. It appears to be so. Get out of the mindset of the grammar. It is a look at the continuous thought. What is saying? If you want to get to that stage, the very first requirement is what? The focus on you. Sabgun tere. Focus on tu. Main nahi. If the focus is on me, then it's not going to work out. Because main means attachment to the outer world. Tu means the attachment to the inner. The direction changes. If you are habitual of saying tu, you will have no time to say ma. The jibha, the rasana, the tongue can say only one thing at a time. It can either say tu, you, or it can say me, I. Make a choice. If you have not made that right mindful choice, that the focus is to shift from me to you, you would not have any quality, any good quality in you. You will not develop that. Because all the qualities that you will develop will be dealing with the outer dimension. When you are focused on the outer, you will only develop the qualities of the outer, isn't it? I want to make more money, right? So what will I do? I can't go and ask to give me the formula. Right? I'll go somewhere and say, what's the latest stock and what is the latest investment and what is the better job and how do I get this, right? You will only develop the capabilities in the outer dimension because that's what you are interested in. You want to make a relation, what you will go? You will find it. You are a man, you want to make a relation, you will find a girl. So where are you going to find a girl? Tell God to drop a girl from the sky? It's not going to happen. So you'll go to somebody and say, suggest me some relation. So you will develop the characteristics, means guna. Sab guna tere. If you want to develop the guna, the characteristics that take you into that inner tirath journey, then you have to do what? Main nahi koi. No focus on me. and understand that Vin gun kite bhagat na hoy. Now look at the trap that traditional translation created for us. Now let me give you the traditional translation. It says, Sab gun tere main nahi goye, vin gun kite bhagat na hoy. हे परमात्मा सारे तेरे ही गुण ने, मेरे तो गुण कोई है नहीं, ते गुणा बिना भक्ति नहीं हो सकती. ਇਹਦਾ मतलब मैंने भक्ति करने की लोड़ नहीं, क्योंकि मेरे तो गुण ही है नहीं. You see the trap? Since all the things belongs to you, I have not, and the condition is I have to have that guna, that characteristic, to do the meditation. Since I don't have it, I don't have to. So whole of the responsibility falls on you. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to enjoy the life. What a trap. So do the ritual, and when he wants you to do the bhakti, it will happen. Don't worry about it. You just do the ritual. Keep on giving the money. That's what the translation did. Whereas the translation actually means, focus on you will take me into the inner journey. Focus on me, I will take me to the outer journey. And without shifting the focus on you, there is no meditation. Sab gun tere, main nahi koe, vin gun kite bhagat na hoye. Which gun? Focus on you. That is the change in direction. And the whole thought becomes continuous. Vin gun kite bhagat na hoye. So,
I'm confused. You said you and you. If you could.
You means the creator. When I'm using the word you,
Okay.
I'm pointing out the creator. And when I'm saying focus on the self, means I'm talking of the I, the ego. Focus on me as a human being. Focus on my doing as a doer. So long as that I exists, the word I will be repeated more often than you. Then everything I am doing, nothing is being done. When the focus is on him or it or that, what else noun, pronoun you want to give it. When the focus shifts, then everything is a happening, is being done. So long as that focus does not shift, meditation will not be possible. And you will keep on developing the characteristics depending upon where the focus is. If the focus is on the outer dimension, the characteristics of the outer dimension will be developed. If the focus is on the inner, then of course the characteristics of the inner will be required. You will go on a journey and you will seek out. I am stuck on this stage. How do I get out of this? Right? Just as focus on the outer, you will seek out the counsel. I'm working very hard, but I'm not making enough money. What should I do? Right? So the same holds true. The journey's direction will shift. And that's what is being pointed out here. Sabgun tere. All the characteristics are in you. For what? To get to you. Man ahi koe. There is no characteristics in the I, man. And so long as that characteristics is not developed, that quality is not developed, vin gun kite, without that characteristics, bhagat na hoye. There is no meditation. It's impossible. So get that into your inner being, that if the meditation is not happening, somebody can say here, hey, I sit for hours and hours and hours, nothing happens to me. Then look at the process. Go deeper into the process. That when you are sitting and you sit down, whether you are chanting or not, it doesn't matter. When you are sitting, a thought appears on your consciousness. What do you do with that thought? Do you go with the thought to do the daydreaming? One thought leading to another thought, leading to another thought, and 4 hours are gone by and you have suddenly said, oh my God, 4 hours? What did I do? You've been daydreaming. Under the guise of, I'm meditating. But if the thought came and you did not pay energy to it, did not pay attention to it, and let it go, and stayed with the no mind quality, slowly and slowly, thoughts will stop bothering you. So, that is the question here being highlighted, is saying, Vin gun kite bhagat na hoye. Whose bhakti are we talking about? And it reminds, the Bani reminds, it says, Swast At Bani Brahmao. Swast. In Sanskrit, when somebody will say, should this happening, and it was said, Tathastu. ऐसा ही हो जाएगा. Tathastu. Swast is a Punjabi translation of है, उस तरह ही हो रहा है. किस तरह हो रहा है? He is the one who has, which one? At. At means this outer world, Maya. Bani means sound. Brahma means the creation. You see, the one who is also creating is a creator of the Maya, and the Bani means this process to get out of the Maya, the word, happening from the same. Swast At Bani Brahmao Sada Sohan. Sat Sohan Sada Manachao. That energy is in complete happiness, blissfulness in this process. That's the energy we were talking about. That's the creator we were talking about, the one who created everything and is at complete blissfulness with this whole process. We are not contented with that, right? We write songs, दुनिया बनाने वाले क्या तेरे दिल में समाई, काहे ये दुनिया बनाई, right? We ask that question. We wonder. We see the positive and negative, and we get pained by the process. We are not happy with what he has done, but he is completely at peace with it. Completely with Sata Sohan Sada Mancha. There is absolutely not an iota of a doubt, a question, or a worry as to what's going on. We worry about it. We ask the questions, why there is a war, why there is a famine, why there is a starvation, why there is a sickness, why there is this, and we have whys spread all over the world. But that energy knows it is a drama, it's a play, it's a leela. And in a drama, there are characters assigned with different responsibilities, different duties, and they are all performing the duties as he designed it. Hence, he's at peace with it. It's the drama he wrote. He's directing it. He's assigning the roles. He's having fun with it. And that's the one you are going to be, because you also want to feel that blissfulness. That's why you are turning the direction from outer to the inner. That's the whole purpose of this inquiry. Why bother about this otherwise? The only yearning inside the entity, inside the soul, if you will, is, hey, I knew that bliss once. How do I get back there? Right now, if in the morning I am happy, in the evening I am sad, if in the evening I am happy, in the morning I am sad, what's going on here? I don't like to go through this roller coaster of good and bad, happy and sad. I want to get out of it. Is there a blissful state? Say, yes, there's one blissful state. Only one. And what is that? Become like him. That's why Kabir said, har jan aisa chahiye, jo jaisa har hi hoye. There is no There is absolutely no stoppage in the middle. You cannot take a shortcut. It is not a partial. Either you are or you are not. In this journey, you cannot be half pregnant. Either you are or you not. You cannot fool the self. You can fool the world, and maybe you sometimes you can fool yourself, but you cannot fool the ultimate. So Gurbani says, here is a pointer to you. Change the direction and look for what? Say, Swasth Ath Bani Baramao Sat Sohan Sada Man Jao. But that's not what you're going to do. What happens mostly when we go into this journey? This is what Burma did. He said, I want to know what you did. If I'm becoming like you, I want to know what you did. So the journey became, I want to study the nature. Where you came from, what your birth is, how big great this is, where the sun and the moon and how many galaxies and when were you born. See how the mind, even though you are trying to become like him, suddenly the curiosity catches you and says, first let's find out, when was he made? And it says, watch out, that's a trap. That's a trap. You go into the meditative state and you start actually studying the nature, not the creator behind the nature. Your focus shifts. And what does your mind do? It wants to find out, when did you start? And how did you create all this? And you do this type of inquiry in your meditation process. Next line comes in. Kavan sovela, vakat kavan, kavan thit, kavan var. These are all questions. Kavan sovela. What was the moment? Kavan sovela. Vakat kavan. What was the time? Kavan thit. Thit means the movement of the moon and the sun. Which phase it was in. Var. Kavan. Var means the day. Inquiry into when did you start this whole thing? Next question would be, why did you start this whole thing? Third question would be, how big is it? Well, so what? If you find the answers to these, then so what? What is the significance of this? But no, you will forget that and you will spend the time in this. Kavan sovela, vakt kavan, kavan thit, kavan var, kavanas jerutti, maha kavan jit hovaya akar. What was the season? What was the month? Tell me, let me find out, how did you came into existence? Jit hova akar. When did you come into existence? And Gurbani says, oh my Lord, what a wasteful endeavor. Spending time to find the answers to these questions? What will you do with the answers? If it is available to you today that God created the earth 5 billion years ago on a Monday at 7 o'clock, what will you do with this? Alright, here is the answer. Run with it. Is there any benefit from this? And Gurbani says, don't you understand that if it could have been done, it would have been done so far? Why your meditation is going to be any higher and better than all the saints that are gone ahead of you? So Gurbani gives the warning. This is a stumbling block on the way. That the mind will get busy with this. Within few months of your meditation, you will start seeing the scenes. You will start seeing the stars and the moons and the world exploding and the stars forming and the galaxies, etc. And so, wow. And the mind will get busy. Will completely forget that that's not the objective. Gurbani points out, Vel na paya pandati. Vel means the time, Vela. He says those who have gone ahead of you. Vel na paya pandati. Pandit here does not mean the pandit that the way we understand. The one who is actually grown into the spiritual realm. None of them. Vel na paya pandati. Jehove Lekh Puran. If it was there, they would have written it in the Purana. They would have documented it. Those who created Vedas and Puranas, they were evolved souls. And there is not a single mention of as to one, the Creator created this. Isn't that proof enough for you? Waqt na payo Qadiyan. Qadiyan word is a Punjabi form of the Qajiyan. The Qaji. The Quran was written in 29 years after the death of Muhammad. Quran was not compiled immediately. It was not compiled together. It was compiled over a course of 29 years. And their job was to collect all the literature, anybody who had handwritten notes, etc., and put it in the form of a book. And the Quran came into existence. So, Gurbani is pointing out to that. He says, here is a spiritual soul, and his words are being compiled. Waqt na payo Qadiyan je likhan lekh Quran. In the Hindu tradition, the Vedas and Quran was documented. In the Islamic tradition, Quran was documented, and there is not a single reference. Why there is no single reference? Did they know and decided to hide from the rest of the world? So, that's not the case. Kavan suvela, vakt kavan, kavan thit kavan var, kavan seruti mah kavan, jit hovaya kar, vel na paya pandati, je hove lekh Puran, vakt na payo Qadiyan, je likhan lekh Quran. Why is that? Why those scriptures don't touch this subject at all? Here is the reason for it. What is the reason? Thit var na jogi jane rot maha na koi. You cannot find the answer to this question. But why not? In order to say that this was done on this moment, someone else has to be present at that moment. Right? I am speaking, and you can document and say, on a Friday at 9 o'clock, I said this. Because you are there to listen, to observe, to see. But if the Creator is only one, how to document what's being done by that one? Because there is no witness. So that question is completely irrelevant, invalid to ask, what time did you create this? Thitwar na jogi jane, rot maha na koi. Nobody knows the time, nobody knows the season, nobody knows the month. What does that mean all? And the Gurbani concludes and say, Ja karta sirthi ko saje ape jane soi. This question is only, and the answer is only known to the Creator Himself. Ja karta, that Creator, who? Sirthi ko saje, the one who created this whole creation. Sirthi means creation, not just the earth. Srisht. Punjabi word from Srishti is Sirthi. Ja karta Sirthi ko saje, the one who created this whole of this universe. Ape jane soi. He is the one who knows this answer. So you should not be going on that track and looking for the answer to this question When did this happen? Because your answer is not going to get it. And that's why all those saints who have gone ahead of you, who actually created all the Vedas, all the Puranas, all the Qurans, all the Bibles, all these people have clearly left that question even unasked. But you will fall into the trap when you go into the meditative stage. That's your beginning. So be alert to that. Don't get trapped by this inquiry. This is the most profound inquiry. Anybody who wants to. There was a beautiful written book by Richard Bach. The book's name was Illusions. And there is a so-called Messiah who comes to this earth to tell the world as to how great the God is and why you are not grateful to Him. And he spends whole life in preaching this gospel. And one very simple-minded person goes to him and says, why are you here? Well, I'm trying to tell the people how great the God is. So, well, don't you think if God wanted that, He could have told it Himself? Think about it. If everybody was to know how great the God is, don't you think God is capable of putting that thought in the mind of every individual? Why did you take the birth? And the book ends there. He says, to learn this lesson, that humans are not needed to tell other humans how great God is. He has kept that fact purposely. Only few would want to go on that journey to find out how great the God is. Those who don't want to, God doesn't want to tell them how great He is. He doesn't want them to know it. And that's why Gurbani says, Sun vadda aakhe sab koe. We all are saying He's great. Right? He's greater than the greatest. We all say that. How do we know? Why are we saying this? He's greater than the greatest. Gurbani says that you are saying it. Why? Sun. You have heard from somebody else. Sun vadda aakhe sab koe. If you really want to aak, if you really want to say He's great, kevad vadda deetha hoye. See for yourself. Experience for yourself. Only then that statement would be meaningful. He's great. Right now, you heard and you're repeating it. That's all. And that's not enough. And that's not enough. Anyone who really wants to get there and be able to say from experience, then will go on this journey. And will avoid these pitfalls, which is Kavan Sovela, Vakt Kavan, Kavan Thit, Kavan Var, Kavan Siruti, Mahakavan, Jit Hovaya Akar. That would not be the worry. That should not be worry as to when this creation came into existence. It is a wasteful time. Now you cannot tell that to a scientist who has the Hubble telescope and is looking at billions and billions of light years of signals coming, and he's processing how many new galaxies he's finding, how many new stars he's observing. They are now claiming that they have just documented the moment of the first Big Bang. They are seeing some X billion of years, some formations and some explosion taking place. And I wonder, when would the man give up that this is not something that they are going to know? A part is never going to know the whole. It is impossible. A child is not going to know the conditions of the birth of the father. You can only imagine. पिता का जन्म कह जाने पूत. Gurbani. How would the son ever know the conditions and environment under which the father was born? He doesn't know his own. He's not aware of his own birth. How is he going to know the birth of the father and the grandfather and on and on and on? Why go on that endeavor? When you know the nature has not given you the necessary tools to do this kind of a inquiry. And so Gurbani says, Ja karta sirthi ko saje ape jane soi. He is the only one who created this universe, who has the answer to that question. Leave it at that. So then what should you do? What's your job? And the answer comes. Kev kare akha, kev salahi, kev varni, kev jana. And he says, this is the inquiry that in every mind. If that answer is not going to be known, then what should I say about you? Kev karaka. How should I describe you then? Kev salahi. What praise can I give you then? Kyo varani. How do I explain varnan karna? Kev jana. How should I know you? And Gurbani says, watch out. If you ask that inquiry, if you go on that inquiry, what's going to happen? Nanak aakan sabko aage ek do ek siyana. The world is full of those who will tell you, here is the answer. And they will all say, my answer is better than the other. So be alert to this fact. What? Nobody knows the answer. The one who starts attempting to give you the answer, this is how it was born. On the first day God created light. On the second day He created the earth. And third day He this. And sixth day He got so tired He slept all day. These are childish stories to pacify a little kid running around with an inquiry. It's not a fact of life. It cannot be a fact of life. So, what is the Sikhism's conclusion then? It says, Nanak akhan sabko aake. Everybody has a model, and that model, ek du ek syana. Everybody is outsmarting the other. Christians outsmarted the Judas, and the Muslim outsmarted the Christians, and everybody outsmarted the Muslims, and we are into an ad infinitum. Is there a way out of that? He says, yes. Come to this realization. Accept that fact before your journey starts. What is that? Vadda Sahib, Vaddi Nai, Kita Jaka Hove. Conclusion. Vadda Sahib. See, the word Sahib is a beautiful word. The Sahib, the way we use, is not a Sahib. You know, we call our boss the Sahib, right? He's my Sahib. No, he says, no, that's a Jhuta Sahib. You want to look for the Sacha Sahib. And there's only one Sacha Sahib. Who's greater than the greatest? Vadda Sahib. Vaddi Nai. Everything about is unlimited about him. And because that contains everything, everything that is happening through him by his will. Kita Jaka Hoge. So he brings back to the central theme of Sikhism. What we started this journey? Kiv sachiara hoye, kiv kude tutte pal, hukam razai chalana, Nanak likhya now. Right? He gave us the formula in the beginning. He brings it right back to us and says, Vadda Sahib. There we said, listen to his will. Everything is happening. It is not a doing. Stop always hammering on the doing part of it. You are constantly saying, I am doing. Everything you are doing. What are you doing? I am earning. Where you're going? I am sightseeing. Well, how would then I use the language? I have to say I. Gurbani says, no, you don't have to say I. You are in the habit of saying I. You can say the same thing in an indirect way and say, Kamai kiti ja rahi hai. Earning is happening. Event is happening. It may be happening through me. I may be the instrument of the Creator, but I am not the doer. He is the doer. He's using me to make this happen. And suddenly your mindset, the quality, the chemistry will change. The whole of the thinking within the... I was reading a book by Gary Zukov only recently, and he gives a beautiful example. He said, look at your brain. How does the brain function? There are neurons in it. They carry message. Each neuron carries a message and signal to the other. That's all it does. But that neuron has no idea what this whole system is going to take that information and do with it. Right? There are billions and trillions of neurons firing in the brain all the time. Each neuron doing its job, taking the signal from here, passing on to the other. And it drives off your whole human body. A message, whether no matter positive or negative, it just passes on and the body reacts. The mind reacts accordingly. But that neuron doesn't know anything that my sending this signal caused it. He says, now think about you as a neuron in the brain of the cosmos. You are just moving things, doing things happening through you. You have no clue how it is impacting, what it is driving, what the credit you want to take for. And if the neuron starts thinking that I am the total brain, can you imagine what will happen? It's because of me, you got the signal, so I won't give you the signal now. What will happen? This is what the human do in the cosmos. We put so much significance on that, and that's where the whole stanza started from. Sabgun tere, main nahi koi. There is none. There is no characteristics in the I. The characteristics, the guna, the qualities are only in you, in saying you, in focusing on you. There is no quality in focusing on the self. So get out of that and keep this in mind. Vadda sahib, vaddi nai, kita jaka hove. And if you don't do that, and you insist on staying on the outer periphery, what will happen? He concludes that stanza by saying, Nanak je ko apo jane. If the focus apo means me, the self. If the focus is on the self, agge gaya na so hai. You will be very good, you will be very appreciated in this dimension. But when you get to the other dimension, it will not be recognized at all. It will not add any value to the life. So, get out of the pure outer activity. Which one? Tirath, tap, daya, datadan. Get out of that model. Go into the internal. So that you can also experience that blissfulness which the ultimate creator. Sat Sohan Sada Man Jao. Never a moment, never any fraction this way or that way. So if you want the freedom from that type of life pattern, then the only answer is you have to become like that. And the only way you get to that is first start practicing how you are going to accept the fact that everything is a doing, happening, not your act. So may He give us the wisdom and the strength to get to that state for which the whole body form is available to us. So with that, I thank you all for coming, and we can open for the discussion.